very, very special edition of Facebook Live from the Scott County Public Library in Georgetown, Kentucky. Today I have with me John Stephen Hockensmith of Hockensmith Fine Art Editions Gallery and Press on Main Street in Georgetown. John is one of our premier equine photographers, and he has worked with and been the photographer for the Kentucky State Government, Georgetown College, Churchill Downs, Keelan, just to name a few. We're so excited to have him, and an artist in his own right. Today, John is here to speak about another Kentucky artist, Henry Lawerence Faulkner. Thank you so much for being here and for helping curate this amazing art exhibit that we are going to have up in our gallery in just a few days.
A delight.
It's called Faulkner Celebration, and it is celebrating the beautiful artworks of Henry Faulkner. And for those of you not familiar with Faulkner, I'm going to give you the briefest of biographies, and then I will let John take over with all the amazing, wonderful details. Henry Lawerence Faulkner was a gay artist and poet whose prime art career spanned the 50s through the 70s in the Lexington area and here in Georgetown, as well as Italy and South Florida. His works have been collected by luminaries such as Marlon Brando and Betty Davis and Tennessee Williams, and Faulkner's flamboyance was well known, right down to his bourbon-drinking goat that he frequently took to parties. Her name was Alice, and along with another menagerie of animals that he lived with off in 3rd Street off North Broadway in Lexington. His charisma was evident to everyone who met him, and it easily transposed to his oil paintings. Behind me, which is one gorgeous oil painting. They were wildly colorful, and he was a magical colorist with an inspired sense of line and design. From old houses to floral designs, and of course his beloved goat Alice, Henry Faulkner's works reflect a knowledge of the old masters such as Chagall and Picasso. Now, John Hockensmith had the distinct pleasure of knowing Henry Faulkner for a time, and more recently photographing his work for a beautiful, award-winning tabletop book that's here in front of you. And now he's bringing these photographs to us here at the Scott County Public Library. So we are so excited, and let's go on from there and tell us a little bit about how we got here to this wonderful collection and exhibit.
Well, I was just a youngster, and everybody in Lexington, to say the least, but the young people in Lexington really admired Henry. We all knew the rumors and innuendo and the fact that he was world famous and world traveled, and he was a kind of a cultural leader at the time. He certainly was a gay advocate. He would sing in the bars, and he would perform and just cause mischief that kept everybody. He was a
bit into the jazz, wasn't he?
Oh yes, he loved the New Orleans blues, and he could sing with the best of any of the ladies in a higher falsetto than any of them.
Wow.
And he was quite a performer. He was talented on many multiple levels, singing, performing, certainly a fine illustrator who pursued his art and developed a style, a European style that he picked up in Sicily on his first trip over to Taormina, where he stayed and made contact with Greta Garbo and all of the luminaries that went to Taormina at the time, which was a gay mecca. And he built on it. He was showing in New York in the late 50s, 59, 1960. Cincinnati was a stronghold of his beginning patronage, and certainly Lexington was a part of it, but he didn't break into that later. He actually made it in Florida. He was considered largely a Florida artist throughout his career.
Now that was part of that hitchhiking story where he wound up in a...
There's so many.
There's so many stories.
He did end up and met Tennessee Williams. They became fast friends. And he ended up having his winter home because he could make fabulous money. $6,000 or $7,000 in cash for a single exhibit was his take with Clausen's. Wow. And then you put that money in 1962 dollars. He went out and bought a house. He went to Florida and bought a home. He bought a farm over in Jessamine County, and he was building his his villa, his Italian villa, which really never manifest, but it was always in progress. So, you know, with his collaboration in southern Florida, and big in Miami and Atlanta, he had a little annual tour that he would carry his wares around, and a master of publicity. It was not by accident that the goat was accused of drinking bourbon. He would tell those stories. He would also tell that he was cousin. You'll read that he was cousin to William Faulkner, which there isn't a stitch of truth to. But, you know, it worked, and it helped him build the patronage. He did know Vincent Price. He did, and he was a celebrity seeker. And when I met him in '77, and I was initially he took a liking to me because I had value. I was a photographer. And when Anita Madden would have a party, he would take me along to photograph him with Dennis Cole or whoever was the celebrities present. And he was cultivating my ability to see and think as an artist. And even in '79, he allowed me to show with him. Maybe not on the merit of my work as much as he didn't have enough artwork to fill the show on the mezzanine. Whatever.
Any way you can get your breaks, right?
Yeah, he took his, I'll take mine.
That's right.
And you know, just to kind of bring it around, he died in '81. I think it's January the 5th, and I don't think he ever passed. His presence has been carried with a lot of patrons, and stories are told, and they're magnified, and even though some of them are based on the truth, they've been embellished, and his legacy has really grown, as is evident in the work that's behind us, the original. You can see that his work has, recently has doubled in value again. I worked on the book that was done in the '80s, The Outrageous Life, which really focused on his antics, and
whereas this really focuses on his
art career. And you know, we photographed pieces for it. But in around 2006 or so, Henry came back through Green Settle's son, who was owner of 235 pieces of art, and they were the originals, and I photographed them to make G. Clays. Ultimately, we ended up selling them to another great patron, which was First Southern Bank in Somerset. And they've become a great patron, and they actually financed the book.
And then the book also includes writings, poetry.
Henry's poetry. So the book itself is a window into Henry's personality more than a description of things he did.
Gotcha.
You've got his writings, you've got his visuals, and then you've got a narrative that tells you the path that he took from his orphaned origins through the days of being a vagabond, pilfering little
his creation story.
His creation story. He ended up in his early youth in St. Elizabeth, but as luck would have it, he was incarcerated with Ezra Pound. So the dignitaries coming to see Ezra were a huge influence on the way Henry set his goals. And as you know, all the way to after he was released, I was telling earlier, after he was released from St. Elizabeth's Hospital, being incarcerated as a, quote at the time, sexual deviant, which was he propositioned a cop. Poor Henry, he should not have done that, but it was part of his story, and they banned him from Washington, D.C. You don't come back. But within 20 years, he's actually invited to the White House in 1981 as a guest of Tennessee Williams to receive a Medal of Honor from
his take
Roslyn.
that moment to Washington, D.C.
So he's welcomed at the highest levels before.
That's fabulous.
So it's, you know, the images that we made, it was ironic that it fell into my hands and on my shoulders to curate his body of work, because we ended up with the rights to Henry's artwork, and when we print, it's not a photograph. These are color fidelity that render Henry's paintings on watercolor paper as vividly and as accurately as they came from his brush. And they're exciting to see. It's a whole new generation of youth that are discovering Henry, because to them it's antiques.
Right,
Mid-century
right.
modern,
Mid-century
mid-century magic is antique to our millennials.
Yeah.
And so it, another wave of Faulkner interest, and
That's right.
his story will flourish. There's no real the upside is there. There's no real cap on where Henry's work will ultimately take its place as here we are in the Kentucky room as a quintessential Kentucky artist.
Now you have a talk coming up here at this library.
I'm pretty shy. I don't know if that'll go well.
On the 17th of September, that's Tuesday at 6:30 here in the Scott County Public Library in Georgetown. And you will be hopefully talking with Robert Morgan.
Bob Morgan, Rob Morgan is...
Tell us a little bit about his delightful career with Faulkner.
He is a progressive artist. He is a student of art in every respect. He worked under Henry for a decade or better. He coated his painting, his panels with black gesso. He helped arrange
Kind of a father figure, right?
Well, he was indeed. And Bob and I rub real well together when we tell Henry stories because, Bob comes at it from a completely different perspective. And there's really somewhere in between the Henry I knew, the Henry Bob knew, and all the other stories helps the hologram emerge of Henry's life. And Bob is a fabulous artist unto his own right. Collected
and he's a found object artist.
Found object, doll babies, and all kinds of bejeweled wonders.
They're very colorful.
And recently UK incorporated him into the president's office. He's well known, and his body of work is continuing to grow.
That's right. And he curates an archive, right? The Faulkner Morgan archive.
Yes, and it is LGBTQ, Dr. Coleman, and he have
kind of the history.
Well, all the artifacts, and not just Henry, but the storied legends of the gay communities in Lexington, Kentucky, which was renowned in the 60s and 50s with Hollywood, and a lot of people flew to Lexington because they were comfortable, in the same way that Henry had gone to Taormina because it was very much a comfort zone in that town of acceptability.
Wonderful, wonderful.
So Bob is he's the real entertainer.
You're just along for the ride.
You bet.
Well, this book is absolutely beautiful, and it is available for sale.
Yes. And the G Clays are available through the gallery.
And this is just a beautiful example of his work.
We do have some originals at the gallery.
We will have these beautiful G Clays on exhibit.
Well, I can't thank Yolanda and all of you guys enough. The way our public library system has grown into this expansive outreach to not only Scott County, but I think the Bluegrass. We've got a real gem here.
We're very excited to have it. We hope that everyone who can come out to see this fabulous exhibit, learn a little bit more about Faulkner, and take a look at this gorgeous book that you've put together. Anything else you'd like to?
I would like to give it its accolade. It received
the Benjamin Franklin.
Yes, the Benjamin Franklin Best Coffee Table Book. It was published in 2018, and that's a national award. It's for independent publishers, and one that I've coveted. I think
that's a great achievement. A great achievement. It is. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, good.
And we're very excited to have this wonderful exhibit here at the Scott County Public Library. Check out our Facebook page and our website for more information, and join us for the opening of the gallery exhibit upcoming. Well, hopefully everybody will come to your talk on September 17th at 6:30 as well. That's all from us at the Scott County Public Library. We hope to see you soon.
At the celebration.